Hello, and welcome back to The Current. This is the penultimate episode of Season 7, and I'm your host, Jake George. This week, we're lucky enough to have the university's campus dietitian joining us. UNCW's registered dietitian, Chelsea Stant, is joined by Parker Hall. We are very excited to have her on this week, so without further ado, let's get to the main course and hand it over to Parker and Miss Stant.
Thanks, Jake. I'm here with Miss Stant. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So tell me about yourself and what it is you do here at UNCW.
Yeah, my name is Chelsea Stant and I am the campus dietitian. There's actually another dietitian on campus in campus dining. So we say that Joe is the campus dietitian that the meal plan pays for, and I am the dietitian that your health center fee pays for. So my office is a part of the student health center, and I spend the majority of my week meeting with students and talking to them about their own personal nutrition. So if they have any goals they're trying to meet, learning about healthy eating, helping with budgeting and meal planning and grocery shopping and cooking and all of those issues. And then I spend a little bit of my week serving as an advisor for the health promotion peer educators. And those are students who work in our office, and they put together a lot of programs about things like nutrition, alcohol, other drugs, sexual health, sun safety, stress management, just all kinds of wellness topics.
Cool. And can you describe to me your approach to creating personalized nutrition plans for students? How do you take into account individual dietary preferences, health conditions, and lifestyle factors?
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking about that this morning, and my husband always likes to say that everybody is an expert on the way that they eat and their own bodies and how that affects them. My job is to be an expert on everyone's bodies and how different ways of eating will impact the particular person. And so I tell students, when you come to my office, the first appointment, you're probably going to be doing a lot of talking because I'm going to be getting a lot of information about your specific situation. Like I said, whether you have any specific goals, we'll talk about your lifestyle, about your activity level. I also tell a lot of students nowadays that I don't really feel like my job is to teach people how to eat healthy. It's how to eat healthy with the amount of time and energy and money that they have. And so especially as college students, I feel like a lot of you guys know the foundation of what you're supposed to be doing, but you've got some limitations in those areas. And so It's really navigating how to work around that and how to find a way to eat that works for you with your life.
Yeah, and kind of going off of that, like in the field of nutrition, there's so much conflicting information. There's all these different trends. We have vegan, then we have carnivore, and we have this and that, and there's keto and paleo. And how do you stay updated on the latest research to ensure that your advice is evidence-based and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So as a registered dietitian, part of maintaining my licensure and being registered in the state of North Carolina is that every 5 years I have to prove a certain amount of approved continuing education. So I am submitting the conferences that I'm going to, the webinars that I'm attending, the research articles that I'm reading and taking quizzes on. I submit those, and those are approved by the accreditation board, who says that they are evidence-based activities by verified providers that are helping me further my education. That being said, I rely on students to help me know what's going on social media. I tell people all the time, I'm too old for TikTok. I'm not getting a TikTok account, but I need students to tell me what's happening on TikTok so I can stay abreast of the trends and help address kind of those myths and misinformation that's going on. I will also say every time there's a new nutrition documentary on Netflix, I get a little bummed out, and I know I'm going to have a rough month or two as I see a lot of backlash from whatever's happening on those new documentaries that are getting put out.
Right, and is there any like diet that you kind of lean towards, that you kind of favor?
Yeah, this is a really frustrating answer. The absolute best diet is one that you're going to be able to stick to. I don't care, and I think when we get into these really restrictive diets, when we're talking about just being a carnivore or being vegan or having these really intense restrictions, is that if you can't see yourself doing it for the rest of your life, what's the point? I mean, when I think about the way someone eats for a week or a month or a couple months, that's not going to have as big of an impact as what you're eating day in and day out for years and decades. Right. When we talk about nutrition, that's what's important to me. And so a lot of my job is making really teeny tiny little changes and making baby steps that stick. And that's not what the diet industry is based on. The diet industry is based on making these huge sweeping changes that are really unsustainable. So the best way to find a diet plan that works for you is to find one that works for you. And I can help with that.
I like that. And so nutrition plays a vital role in like the prevention and the management of chronic diseases. How do you collaborate with other healthcare professionals, like physicians, therapists, to incorporate that knowledge into your care for clients?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways that we do that. The first is, one of the things I love about working at UNCW is that we are an incredibly collaborative university, and so it's very easy for me to pick up the phone and get in touch with somebody in another office and ask questions about what's going on. I also think there's a lot of people at UNCW that are really interested in food security, which is an incredibly important topic, so making sure that all of our students have access to enough adequate food, which is the absolute foundation of any kind of a healthy diet. And particularly when it comes to the healthcare providers and say, for example, like the counseling center, we'll do various things every year at our health center retreat. I do a little fad diet roundup where I kind of tell all the providers what's happening on social media, what diet trends we're seeing, where they came from, and how to kind of address those. And I'll work with our various different providers and with the counseling center and do some education on like giving them good tips and good resources and good information to get students started until they can come to me and have a little bit more of an involved discussion.
Right, cool. And so there's been this increasing criticism of the American diet, and it's been like the primary blame for the health epidemic that's kind of unfolding here in the United States. Do you agree with this? And if yes, what do you think is the culprit? Is it the sugar? Is it the seed oils? Is it the processed grains? Maybe a combination of all of those things.
Yeah, so in some senses I agree with it, but I think the more direct answer would be I don't really agree with it, because again, when I think about nutrition, I try to take kind of the 10,000 foot view of things, and I like to think a lot about how human beings have eaten across the course of history and like all across the world. And so for most of human history, the biggest issue with food was not having access to enough of it, and like maybe having nutrient deficiencies or not having access to enough calories. So yeah, we live in a time now where there's an abundance of calories available, but there's also an abundance of nutrients. And so I talk to students about, it's November, I can go get lettuce, tomato, onion on a sandwich. I can buy frozen berries that were picked at the peak of the season, which is something a lot of human beings over the course of history haven't had access to. So I think that there's definitely a role that manufacturing and advertising plays in it. I think that's when I look at the history of what's happened with nutrition and nutrition science in America, that's a really big turning point of when food manufacturers were allowed to start advertising, not necessarily on saying like, this is a gallon of milk, but like, this is a gallon of milk, and if you eat our milk, think about how happy and healthy you're gonna be and how amazing your life is gonna be. So I think the advertising is a big part of it, and I think that when it comes to like the FDA and the USDA, I think that we've done a lot of really great work, and like a lot of public health, when it's done well, nobody notices it and nobody pays attention to it. And so I think sometimes there are very reactionary things that people will do because they haven't kind of let the gears of those bigger systems put things into place. There is no one boogeyman. Any food is not gonna be good for you if it's the only thing that you're eating. We need a huge variety of different foods. And then the other thing I actually spend a lot of time talking to my students about is that nutrition does play a big impact on our health, but it's not the only thing. And so we also have to take into account environmental stressors and what's going on in our life and medications that we may be in, or what our inherited genetic history is. And so I talk a lot about changing behaviors and making the changes that you can with your diet, but also understanding that a healthy diet is not a guarantee that's gonna prevent you from ever developing any type of chronic illness. So I tell students that my goal and what I think about when I'm eating is I try to think for 5 seconds about whether or not I'm making a healthy decision. Whether I do or don't, I move on with my day. There are times where I just need to feed myself, and I think I told y'all I ate a pumpkin pie Pop-Tart on the way over here because I didn't have time to have breakfast this morning. And so at the end of the day, it's just important to make sure that we're eating food. I make nutritious choices when I can, but I really don't limit myself from anything. Unless you're allergic to something or you know that the food is poisoned or spoiled, those are the only things that we should not be eating.
Right, nice. What are some words of advice that you would give to someone who's maybe struggling to find a diet that works for them?
Yeah, I think there's two pieces of advice I would give college students. The first thing is that the foundation of a healthy diet is eating enough often enough. So especially during times when we're really stressed, when money's really tight, where we don't have a lot of time and energy, it comes back to those basics of if you just need to be feeding yourself a Pop-Tart, make sure you get some breakfast and get on with your day. When things are a little bit less stressful, we can work on making more nutritious choices. And then the other piece of advice I would give students is that there is a difference between when we talk about processed foods, I think processed foods are a really big boogeyman nowadays, and I think that there's a very big difference between lightly processed foods, so things that are cooked, things that are preserved, and then really ultra highly processed foods. So when we think about like, the example I always give is veggie straws. I would have no idea how to make a veggie straw if you gave me all the ingredients and all the time in the world. So I don't want all of my diet to be really ultra processed foods, but I really rely on frozen things and microwavable things and things that are a little bit more preserved and a little bit more convenient and affordable, which is an enormous issue nowadays.
And final question, where can someone watching this seek out your services?
Yeah, so my office, I'm a part of the Student Health Center, but my office is in the Student Rec Center. I'm in the Health Promotion Suite. We like to say that our office is known for 3 things. We have fresh fruit available for students, we have free condoms and other safer sex supplies, and we also like to say that we offer advice, because you can come meet with myself or some other professionals in my office who have expertise in different areas of wellness. When you walk into the Student Rec Center, before you swipe your one card, if you turn to the left, where the glass windowed office on the left, please stop by if you ever need a piece of fresh fruit.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Back to you, Jake.
Thanks, Parker. Before we get into our special dessert this episode, we'd like to share more about Miss Stant and the services she offers. Miss Stant started working at UNCW in 2014, and her goal is to provide nutritional counseling for UNCW students. She believes true health encompasses not only what we put into our bodies, but how we feel about them as well. Along with dieting and budgeting advising, Ms. Stant offers support in body image and bodily outlook. She also focuses on college students' limited time, money, and resources when it comes to meals, and considers this when helping students create healthy food habits. Her office is located in the Health Promotion Center inside the Campus Recreation Center. You can make an appointment by going in person or calling the UNCW Health Promotions office. Now it's time for the sweet stuff, and I'll hand it back to Parker and Miss Stant for a taste test challenge.
Thanks. Let's play a game. Joining us now is our host, Jake.
Thank you, Parker. So today we're going to be doing a taste testing game where we have store brand and name brand products, and we're going to be trying to taste the difference between them. First, we have Pop-Tarts and Great Value brand Pop-Tarts. You guys want to give them a taste?
Yeah. Okay, are we supposed to be describing them like on a food show? Because this one definitely has some more texture. It's got a little bit more browning on it. It looks like they baked it with a little bit more care.
Sight does make a big difference.
Okay.
Not the Pop-Tart.
You think so?
Yeah. It's not quite. I'm trying to be able to tell from how dry and crumbly it is. Oh, this one's a lot more even. It looks like it has more stuff on the inside.
This one, the jelly's chewier.
Mm-hmm. Definitely thicker. Thicker filling. I think the rustic one is a store brand, and I think this nice, pretty even one is the Pop-Tart brand.
Which one do you like better?
I'm a die-hard store brand girl. I will sacrifice a little bit of quality for a little bit more money.
I think this one's the Pop-Tart. The rustic one is the Pop-Tart.
You think that's the Pop-Tart brand?
Yeah.
So we're opposites, all right?
Yeah, this one's like, I feel like Pop-Tart would go like to the extra care to give it that rustic look, where this one's all smooth. They're just.
So it looks more produced. Mm-hmm. I am quite the Pop-Tart connoisseur, but I'm not usually a strawberry girl. These are good.
Do you like the crust?
I do. I'm sticking with my original answer. I think this one's store brand. I think rustic is store brand.
Parker actually had it right. The more rustic one was the Pop-Tart brand.
Man!
Let's go.
Man, they're both really good quality. I think I liked the actual store brand better.
Yeah, I had the store
brand
brand one, and I think it was better. It really threw me off because I eat Pop-Tarts all the time.
Yeah. I like this. I usually like to assume that the store brand is always just as good, and I never do a direct comparison.
Yeah. All right, and next we have Frosted Flakes, and we have Great Value brand Frosted Flakes.
I think I can tell already. This is Great Value. This is real flush Frosted Flakes.
Uh-oh. Okay. 5-second rule.
I told you guys we were going to be doing some ASMR. If anyone would like to really hear me crunch some Frosted Flakes. These are super crunchy. Yeah, I think these are the store brand. And I think in this case I might prefer Frosted Flakes brand. I like these. They're a little crunchier, a little more substantial.
Parker, thoughts?
These taste a little thinner.
I have no clue which one is which. So whatever you say, I'm gonna say the opposite.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we got store brand here and name brand there.
Store brand, name brand. Okay.
Chelsea, you had it right. On our left was the Frosted Flakes.
Redeem myself.
Next, obviously there's no store brand and name brand for apples, so we have organic and regular apples to see if there really is a difference.
And I am going to take this opportunity to let you guys know that consistently there has been no nutritional difference found between organic produce and conventional produce, but some people say there's a taste difference. And that's a good apple.
Which one did you try? That
I
one?
tried this one first. Did you start with the other one?
Oops.
It's really juicy. It doesn't have a whole lot of strong flavor. I'm going to start with this thinner slice.
And one's more tart, more crunch,
Yeah.
more crisp. This one's sweeter.
Do you want to guess first?
Okay. Well, seeing that this one's bigger, I think this one is probably the non-organic and this one's the organic. However, I hope that this one is the organic because it'd make me feel better.
Yeah, it would make you feel a little bit better. I was going to make the same guess. I was going to say this was non-organic and this was organic. This one seems a little bit more, the flavor's not quite as strong and it feels like it would spoil faster. But it is sweeter and they're both really good and I am going to eat the rest of these.
So y'all actually both had it right. On the right was the organic apples. Yeah.
We're crushing it. I think Frosted Flakes so far is the only thing where I preferred the store brand. I think otherwise, I'm sticking with, or preferred the name brand with Frosted Flakes. I think everything else, I'm sticking with my store brand non-organic. I will also say, not
So
qualified
over
to
with
speak on
y'all.
the effects of pesticides on the environment. That's not my job. Just
Alright.
nutrition. Ooh.
And for our final, we have Doritos and Great Value brand Doritos. We got the Cool Ranch flavor today. And I can't tell a difference in how they look. All the other ones I've been able to tell a difference. But
Yeah.
those look identical to me.
Can I say you have the worst job not getting to taste any of this? I am a Dorito fan, but not usually Cool Ranch, so I can't speak to how they look. Do you have a sense?
I have no clue. They look exactly the same.
I think this one looks like it has a little bit more dark spots and the seasoning is maybe a little bit bigger. This one has, I've got one really seasoned piece.
Well, that was harder than I thought it was going to be. Really crunchy.
This doesn't look like there's much seasoning, but it's got a lot of flavor. It tastes like a Dorito.
The ones on my left definitely have more seasoning. Ooh,
Yeah.
that is pungent. Oh,
Oh yeah. Yeah, that one's a lot more strongly flavored. And this one kind of just tastes like salt. It doesn't taste like a whole lot like I started with the strong one.
So y'all think the one on the left is better? More seasoning?
I think this one's better. And I think that probably means it's Dorito brand. If we're talking about seasoning. Texture-wise, they seem pretty similar.
so I think that the Doritos would be more calculatedly seasoned, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So they would put
Yeah.
less seasoning to keep you coming back,
And these are a little overwhelming.
where these, I think, are the store brand because they're just pumping is just thrown in there carelessly.
I understand your reasoning, but I'm going to go the complete opposite direction. I think
Okay.
Doritos cares more about their Cool Ranch brand, and they would like the flavor to be more extreme.
Yeah.
Versus Great Value brand, right? Walmart. I mean, we're appealing to the middleman. We got to
Yeah.
get Doritos that people in the Midwest want to eat,
Yeah.
not as strongly flavored.
Well, Chelsea, you had it right again. On our left was the Doritos.
Yes. I hate to say it, Doritos brand are better.
Yeah. All right, well, that's all we have for today. Thank you for watching, and thank you, Ms. Stant, for being an incredible guest. We hope to see you all next episode.
Thank you for having me. Do you have a to-go box?
I wish we did.